here with Ben Gonzalez and Dave Daly of Southold Bay Oysters. How are you boys doing this morning?
Very good. This is our first radio show.
Oh, congratulations.
We're very excited.
So, we're going to have the topic today of oysters. These guys started doing oysters, started commercial harvesting in 2015. So that means that they got all of their permits and they planted all of their seeds, or what do you call them? Seeds?
Yeah, the baby oysters that come out of the hatchery side of the business, when they're 5 millimeters to 20 millimeters big, are referred to as seed oysters. They're just really small oysters.
Yeah, the size of a fingernail.
Yeah.
And then we were talking a little bit. There were cages that you found that were left over sometimes, and they still had oysters in it, and they grow up to.
Oh, they can
Shaquille
be
O'Neal's foot.
The size of Shaquille O'Neal's sneaker. They can be a good 15, 8 inches large. They're still growing. At that point, you could open them up, shuck them, and grill them, and they're still tasty. But yeah, oysters will live for a really long time.
Mm-hmm. So back to your specifics of oysters. You have your oyster farm in Southold?
Yes, we are in Southold Bay. We're kind of in the middle of the bay. If you know where Oldfield Vineyard is, and you're standing on their beach looking towards Shelter Island at the Green Lawns, we're about 1/3 of the way across the bay towards Shelter Island in about 20 to 25 feet of water.
Wow. And is it just you guys that are?
Yes, the business is Dave and myself, so you have the entire company right now sitting here
Wow.
in the studio.
Yeah, no one's watching the farm right now.
All of our employees are here.
I love it. They're just sitting there filtering water down there below. You guys are also members of the Long Island Oyster Growers Association?
That's right.
Yeah, when did you become involved in that?
So the Long Island Oyster Growers Association was created back in 2002, 2003. But back then, there were not as many oyster farmers as now. Mm-hmm. So 3 years ago, we revamped the organization. And now we have more than 50 members that are oyster farmers in Long Island. Wow. And I am an officer of the organization. I'm a treasurer, so I keep the money straight.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I encourage anyone who listens, you can visit our website, layogany.org, and you can actually see all of the oyster farmers that are in New York.
Do you guys have conventions where you guys get together and then people can come and taste each person's oyster?
We do. La Yoga participates in some events, so you will find actually a booth with La Yoga oysters on the street fair or an oyster festival in Greenport, and all of our farmers will come to that event.
Okay.
Our biggest event occurs on the Sunday of Columbus Day weekend every year at the Greenport Harbor Brewery, and we'll have anywhere from 6 to 10 Long Island oyster farmers selling their product right in front of the brewery, and it can be a really fun day, especially last year. The weather was great, and you can go around trying a whole bunch of different oysters. That's when they release their oyster stout, which pairs perfectly with the oysters, and it's a great way to just try all the different varieties of Long Island oysters.
And speaking of things that pair nicely with oysters, things that pair nicely with Southold Bay oysters would be Southold Bay cocktail sauce and mignonette sauce that you can find. You can buy it off of your website?
We don't actually sell it, but anywhere we're doing our pop-up raw bars, we offer it as a condiment to add to your oysters. And it does use local Wisnowski's tomatoes and Holy Schmidt's horseradish, and it adds a nice little punch to the oyster.
But if you want to try it at home, we do have what we call the Shindig Shock Box, which is a package that comes with a small cooler, and then has 2 dozen oysters inside, a cocktail sauce, a shocking knife, and also shocking instructions. So anyone can have a Shindig at their home, just order in the Shindig Shock Box, and we deliver anywhere in the tri-state area.
And where can they buy this box online?
It is in our website, southoldbayoysters.com.
You heard that, www.southoldbayoysters.com. You can get the oyster box.
And if you are going to be on the North Fork anytime this summer, you can place an order for pickup and come right to our farm and pick up your oysters whenever you like.
And you guys also will be having farm tours?
Yes, this Saturday is our 3rd farm tour of the season. It starts at 2 o'clock, and we show the entire life cycle of an oyster, starting at the hatchery where oysters are spawned over the winter, to our grow-out area where oysters spend the next 18 months of their lives until they're market size and ready to eat. We do a demonstration from the boat, and then finish with a waterfront oyster raw bar tasting paired with some local wines. And it's really a fun event. It takes about 2 hours, and it's a great day.
Yeah.
And you'll learn a lot about oysters.
We have 3 dates on the schedule right now. We have this Saturday, May 25th, June 8th, and June 14th.
Okay, so if you can't make it this Saturday, right? That's this Saturday.
Correct.
You have 2 more Saturdays that you can sign up, and people can register again at your website.
Yes, you can buy
Southold Bay
tickets.
Oysters
They write at the website. They always sell out, so it's good to grab tickets a few days ahead of time.
Yeah, you want your seats because that's really like you really get into the nitty gritty part of oysters. I feel like we were saying it was such a delicacy in the Victorian age, and now you have the opportunity. You guys are giving the opportunity to people to really see what goes into oysters and what goes behind it, and all of the hard work and such.
Oh, absolutely.
We find a lot of oyster lovers that they have no idea how oysters are farmed.
Mm-hmm.
So there you can have in a 2-hour interval the experience from seeing where the oysters are born all the way up to the end of enjoying them at the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely wow your friends and neighbors at cocktail parties. Once you've experienced the
Yes.
farm tour, you'll know
You'll learn a lot.
Yeah, which you guys go to events and such. People can book you if they want you to come do raw shucking at like a party or an event.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're booked all weekend for Memorial Day weekend with several events, and throughout the summer at engagement parties, birthday parties, rehearsal dinners, things like that. You can start with just an hour pop-up raw bar at your party. And it'll be the 2 of us behind the bar so we can talk about oysters, explain our farming techniques and everything as well.
Yeah,
It's not just any raw bar. You have the farmers working on the raw bar.
exactly.
It's a white glove experience. We bring a full boat. We set it up actually on a wood boat with ice on top, and then we'll talk to customers and to your guests about farming oysters. They get to taste the oysters. We do shucking lessons.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a fun experience as part of your parties.
that's interesting. I feel like that's kind of a one-of-a-kind opportunity you're giving people.
Yeah, it's
To learn.
definitely a little more personalized and locally focused than, I guess, a typical caterer raw bar experience.
We have guests that will come to the raw bar and ask us, where do you guys, get your oysters? And the answer is, we are the farmers. We farm these oysters. And I can see their faces like, really? And they
It's
just
impressive.
park themselves next to the bar and talk to us.
Often they came out of the water that morning and straight to the raw bar.
Wow, so it's as fresh as it can get.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Wow. So, talking about your boat a little bit, it's a 19-foot Mako, right?
That is correct.
And it's called
It's called El Pulpo,
El Pupo.
which means octopus in Spanish.
Octopus.
I am a big fan of octopus. I can eat octopus all the time. So we decided to name the boat El Pulpo. It is an old scalloping boat from the bays. So this boat knows the waters better than we do.
Yeah, I love that.
And so now she has been repurposed and she has a new life as an oyster boat.
I was going to say, I was like, it's reuse, reduce, recycle.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing with the boat. And you got it from an old bayman around here?
Yeah.
So as you said, it knows the waters better than you do.
It
That's
does.
really fun.
And the engine actually came off of my dad's Boston Whaler, which was retired, but the engine still works, so we moved that over to the oyster boat.
And other than the boat, what are other pieces of the puzzle almost?
So the way we farm our oysters is that we put them in cages at the bottom of the bay, and then we have to leave the cages and move them into the boat. So we have to install a crane in the boat, which was one of the biggest projects. And once the cage is filled with oysters, it can weigh up to 700 pounds. So it's something you cannot do it manually. So now we added the crane to the boat, the multiple cages, and every 4 weeks we sort our oysters. So we tumble them to make sure they don't grow into each other and they get a healthy growth. So there's also equipment that we have to have a dog for that. In the farm tour, you get to see all of that.
Right. This Saturday, register at www.southholdbayoysters.com. It's May 25th at 2 p.m. So I saw that you are a little bit affiliated with Little Creek. Yes, no?
Yes, they are part of the Oyster Co-op. It's at the Shell Fisher Preserve, which is a 14-acre site owned by the Peconic Land Trust that has to be used for aquaculture. And there's 3 oyster farms that are members there. One is Little Creek, one is Peconic Pearls, and then our oysters, which are Southold Shindigs. And we also sell our oysters at Little Creek Oyster Farm and Market in Greenport, located right by Claudio's.
Yes, right behind Ralph's and like kind of near the marina.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, go check out their Southold shindigs. I did see that you joined the Cornell Cooperative Extension Suffolk Project in aquaculture training. Is that where you got your start in oysters? Is that where you became interested?
Yeah, everything we know about oysters we learned at the SPAT program at the Cornell Cooperative Extension under Kim Tetreault. We did that for many years, just growing oysters as a hobby. And after 2 years of doing that program, you have 1,000 little seed oysters that have grown up to be market-sized oysters that you can bring to friends' houses, you can serve to your family at dinner parties at your own house. And we kept doing that for several years before we moved over to go commercial.
Thank you. I'm caught by the clock here. I'm sorry to cut you off, but thank you for listening to Dishin with Dev on 1390 WRIV.